ARK Survival Evolved. 7 years ago, I played this game, and it was a weird, clunky survival sim filled with dinos that you can tame, and I found a pretty incredible game waiting for me behind those 7 FPS it provided. Together, Rage and I had a server full of viewers that we live streamed for a few months and made YouTube videos on, and generally had a really good time. We tamed the highest level, most powerful dinosaurs, we fought the bosses, and we fought each other most of all. PvP was just as janky in that game, but also extremely fun, and that's what ARK was. It was just a fun survival sim with a massive roster of dinosaurs that could serve your purposes in many ways. Get some big brutes to be your slow cargo holders, the agile and fast dinos to be your transport, or predators to be your fighters. It was all wrapped up in a world of satisfying progression as you move your way from fighting on the beaches with sticks and rocks to basically the peaks of mountains strapped with guns and technology well beyond that of a caveman's. We did this ultimately just once, over maybe about 100 hours, and left it at that. It was fun, but we'd done everything in the game, and that was that. When they released their first paid DLC, we're talking about DLC that was expensive for an early access game, one that didn't run particularly well as well, it was safe to say that irked a lot of people. Since then, I didn't really think about ARK for a few years, and they continued to go on with free updates, alongside multiple and many paid DLCs that I thought nothing of. Until recently, for my monster hunting series. I tried the game again after so many years, and I'd say it went pretty well. Oh, that's terrifying. Oh, what happened? What the hell's happening? Maybe not, but I did have a lot of fun. I played on the original island again and had a very similar experience to my first one. So I took a look at the DLCs and was pretty blown away by what I saw. It was like this entirely different game. The first DLCs kind of enhancing things and then eventually completely changing what the game was. What you'll be seeing now should be the most recent DLC and actually the final one for Survival Evolved. ARK Genesis was the 2-part DLC that finished the actual story that they had put in while I was away, that featured not only Vin Diesel of all people, but incredibly David Tennant as well. And I had no idea this even happened. The new technology and mechanics of the game, the scale of it, the setting, it's all just radically different. Seemingly a lot less about dinosaurs and more about the crazy combinations of life forms and machine, which in a way, as impressive as it looks, is a bit of a shame that it's not so much a dino-based game anymore. And so, finally we come to the point of the video. ARK 2, the sequel to this first game. Announced back in 2020 during the Game Awards, this strange cinematic trailer revealed ARK 2. We were told that it's coming in 2022, with some sparse details alongside that. Since then, there's been no new trailers, release date, or any real concrete information, so what happened? What do we actually know about ARK 2? Today, we're going to find out. Let's start with the story. The cinematic trailer for ARK 2 is a straightforward one at first. It is a tribe led by Vin Diesel's character, Santiago, who are attacked by another tribe who look a little bit mutiny. During that brawl and madness, dinosaurs also catch wind of the fight and come charging in, basically leading to a chase and an escape. At first, this feels like a massive step backwards from that crazy space technology advancement that we saw in the DLCs, much more familiar to the original ARK. This actually seems to be progression of the story that took place during the DLCs. Santiago, as we see him in ARK 2, is literally seen after the final events of the first game. Apparently, we watch him land on a new world and then leave his pod there at the end of the DLC. So surely that's where ARK 2 takes place then. The survivors of this tribe who make it into the cave, not that there's many who do survive, discover a history written here, alongside some pretty incredible looking technology that Santiago seems to comprehend and no one else. To me, it seems like this is the pod he arrived in, but the monitor that he goes to interact with says something about cloning and how that's currently restricted, and then he goes to shut it down and even purge the system of all of its information, like everything that it's learned, essentially putting us back at ground zero, starting from scratch on this new world. I also thought about the child and how he protects that child throughout the cinematic. I wondered if that's going to be another main character we interact with when we play, or could that even be like a representation of us, the player? We've grown up a little bit, we become an adult, and that's who we play, and then maybe he is the main character who we learn from and leads the story in some way. Unfortunately, that's just the best speculation I have based on the information I know so far, as someone who just learned about the stories of the DLC. So maybe you guys can tell me a little bit more about it in the comments. Now, if you aren't aware, at the same time, they also announced something else. They're releasing a fully fledged animated series for ARK alongside ARK 2. It's going to release in 2022 as well, and It looked really good in the trailer, like Korra level animation with a very pretty and interesting world and actually a good story concept. It's going to have Vin Diesel's character in it, but it's also going to have David Tennant again, and there's going to be people like Gerard Butler, Russell Crowe, Elliot Page, and more. Like, it's a fever dream that I've just woken up to this. How did I not know about this? ARK, the animated series, has this description then. It chronicles the story of a mysterious primeval land populated by dinosaurs and other extinct creatures. People throughout human history were somehow resurrected here and must learn to survive this brutal setting, and then ultimately learn the true nature of this world. Essentially, that's the story of ARK Survival Evolved, just told in a more distinct and clear way, and that sounds promising to me. It's just crazy that they managed to get, so many big names involved from what was originally a clunky early access survival sim. Now, let's talk about gameplay. Since we only have the cinematic trailer to go off, we can't say much for certain in regards to that, but it does tell us a couple important things all the same. They're clearly using this story to reset us as an interesting way to bring us back to zero, bring us to the original starting point in ARK, before everything went all space and machine related. It brings the game back to its roots in this alien jungle, more about dinosaurs, and then clearly, I imagine, we're going to progress back up in this world, but with all the new technology and things the devs have actually learned since the early access in 2015. So I find myself with high hopes for that, especially after learning more about the story from the DLCs, and I'm actually thinking I should try them before ARK 2 comes out, so I'm properly prepared. Finally, the main details we currently know then are these. The game is still set for 2022. They have given us no indication of delay or issues at all, so we can only hope that remains the case. It is launching on PC and Xbox for its platforms, and we don't know if they're going to fully release the game or they'll do early access again like the original. I'm obviously hoping for full release because that would be just better, considering its Xbox plans. Hopefully that's the case. There hasn't been any confirmations yet about Steam Workshop mods and otherwise, since that was a huge thing for the original. So relevant, in fact, to the game's success that many attribute its long-term life because of modding. They even released a new map as a free update to the game last month, even while they've been working on ARK 2, that was a community-made map that had 3 new dinosaurs on it. So since the modding scene is just so important to ARK as we know it today, I expect them to learn a lot from the mods that were made, and I expect them to make it happen as soon as possible for ARK 2. As far as new information and updates from the devs go, though, we're still waiting ever since the original trailers in 2020. Technically, they have 12 months to go before launch, if they push that all the way back to December, but whatever happens, if whether it's on time or it's delayed or whatever, we should be expecting new information for ARK 2, finally, pretty soon. But that's everything I have for you. I hope this was useful or interesting, and if there's anything regarding what I've talked about today that you could add to, just drop it in the comments. I'd be interested to learn anything I really can. Until next time though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.